Hey folks, welcome back to the Salty Seaman Military Movie Bullshit. Today we're going to look at a movie I have never seen before, and quite frankly, I think in the pantheon of military movies has been quite overlooked. This is a movie called Chasers. I remember when it came out, but I probably have not thought of it since it came out. I never saw it. This was suggested to me on the Salty Seaman Facebook. If you're not subscribed and you're on Facebook, facebook.com/Gabe the Salty Seaman. And I didn't even notice the comment for a while. I found it on some back scroll, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Looking at it, it's kind of like a sideways companion piece possibly to The Last Detail, another movie I'll get to. And the whole concept, the chasers, the MP guard. I'm reminded of stories. And my dad, I think I've mentioned before, was a Marine, a lifer Marine, 20 years. One of his duty stations was as a, I don't know if they call it. I know it was a chaser directly. He was a guy who took people, just like in Last Detail. And I assume this movie, I've not watched it at this point, so I'll be going along as we go here. He did a very similar job, and I heard a few tales of him, basically picking up UAs and AWOLs, a few other people who got arrested for, in the civilian world, had to come back to military court justice. So, those just for that, connection with my dad, I have a special bit in my heart for the chaser MP pickup guys. So, all that said, let's move on into Chasers proper. I should also mention I'm using a handheld mic right now. My good mic is acting weird, and my mic stand is currently being used by my son to build a blanket fort. So I will be trying to not move this mic around too much and create a lot of annoying noise, but I make no promises. Not a real big deal here. The opening of the movie, we get a couple sailors unfolding the American flag, U.S. flag, to put up for morning colors, and they're being very, very ceremonial-like and unfolding it from the football triangle. As any military people knows, when you fold up the flag, it goes into this neat little triangle. For storage, but I can tell you through 20 years of experience doing colors, you never let it hit the ground. You don't really unfold it with that much ceremony and awe-inspiring whatever. You just kind of just unravel it, make sure it doesn't hit the ground, and then, or in fact, you don't even unravel it beforehand. I'd say usually you keep it mostly in the triangle up until you get to the lanyard. Unhook it, hook it to the lanyard, and then just kind of unruffle it from there to make sure it comes out and flies. So that part I thought was a bit funny, but I looking at it, I'm kind of looking at looks like they got some real sailors doing this as part of, because again, just going back to the final countdown, they don't look like movie stars quite a bit. So, if you're out there and, you were in that scene, congratulations on your SAG card. All right, so right away, they're putting up flag for colors, and we cut to our main hero here in his tidy whities, looking all of 12 years old, and his alarm goes off at 6 a.m. Flag does not go up at 6 a.m. Flag goes up at 06. The flag goes up at 08. Reveille goes down at 06. We also get our hero comes in and wakes up the barracks. There's a bunch of open bay barracks in 1994. Again, this is I mentioned on a few others a Hollywood trope they like to use. The old style open bay military barracks is very iconic. However, very, very outdated by this point. Interesting point here. We have Dean Stockwell playing the, I assume is going to be the sleazy card dealer here. The main character is about to, is one day from discharge. Apparently he did not take any terminal leave, No house hunting, no job hunting, nothing of the sort. He's just serving up to his last day. Not improbable. A lot of people do, but highly unlikely. But going back to Dean Stockwell, it's his second appearance, to my knowledge, in a Navy-related role. Here he's not playing anyone in the Navy, but if you know him from his most famous role in Quantum Leap, he is a former Navy pilot, Vietnam, I believe he's a POW, and when we see him in Quantum Leap, he's an admiral. So just interesting little trivia note on Mr. Stockwell. We have a junior guy here, Howard, supporting the non-existent QMSR patch with the actual one stripe. Only the Air Force do a stripe for E1s. Everyone else has zero anything for E1s. And the military, in the Navy, you would just have what they call the postage stamp. The E1 patch is just your rate, and a little 1x1 square. You know, it always seems to be the openings of these movies where they're establishing everything, where I get probably my most hits on anything. So not unusual that the front end here is kind of loaded. But two things here. Realize main character is a QMSA. About to get discharged, which means he maybe they address it here later in the movie, but he's a QMSA leaving after what I would assume would be at least a 4-year tour. He's been in some trouble. Also, these guys are working in looks like a supply distribution. They're talking about shipping uniforms and selling dungarees. A lot of things going on here. Number one, it seems to be everyone working here, including the admin office, seem to be all QMs. I didn't notice any yeoman personnel types. If anyone knows and caught some, let me know. I'll let that slide. That could happen. But the fact that they're QMs working a supply depot lets me know that the writing on here got the term quartermaster confused with how it's used in the rest of the military, where quartermasters are the supply people. In the Navy, quartermasters are navigators. They have nothing to do with supply. At another point, Navy uniforms are not shipped through. Not dungarees. Certain types of uniforms, but not the dungarees. Dungarees are a civilian enterprise that are sold at exchanges and ship stores. Back then, they would not have any control over the dungaree supply, much less having QMs running it. These should be SKs at the moment. So already this movie is just a treasure trove of just bizarre, slightly off Navy shit. So I'm looking forward to the rest of this, as I'm barely through the first 5 minutes. What in the weird hell is this fold into the belt his Dixie cup has here? I've never seen this. We see one of the girls from the office is an admin type. She's a CTA. Also, just a lot of questions why a CTA is working in a warehouse admin office.
You asked me, Chief?
Outdated term used here. Master Chief is called just plain Chief. By 1994, that would have been a big no-no. He would have had to have been referred to by his full rank. However, in olden times past, anyone E739 in the Navy could be called a chief, and you could have got away with it, but not here. So now we get the plot. He is going on his chaser mission. He's going to bring back people to the brig. It's the last day before retirement. Damn it, they sucked me back in. That old fun plot. That they would bring in a guy. Master Chief would not know this is literally his last day of service, and would send him off on this is highly unlikely. Never would happen. But for movie plot purposes, it serves its purpose. But rather funny, yes. The first real touch of realism we get in the entire movie here, QMSR Howard has a nasty sweat and salt stain along his pockets. It does happen. He looks like shit. Like he would be called out on that like a billion times and told to like wash it or get new pants. But yeah, little touch of realism here. I like it. I assume it's just it happened in real life while they were filming. Just probably the lights and whatnot. He got real sweaty and kept putting his hands in his pockets. However many times he had to wear this damn uniform. But yeah, the beauty of the whites. So we get immediate disrespect for a chief. He does not call him chief. He calls him by his name. We get some two guys basically saying they're going to commit violence on the Beaners. Even in 1994. Come on. Yes, UCMJ. He attempts to the Southern boy, quote unquote. That guy has the worst fucking accent I've ever heard. Takes offense to being called a sister fucker. Tries to punch our hero here, and then accidentally punches the chief instead, and nothing happens with it. This movie is so good. It's so good. They do have him sign here for his gun. A nice little touch of reality. So I'll give them points on the little accuracy they have.
I'll endorse the fag!
Gotta say, I'm really loving Chief Rock here. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Busey with the thickest head of hair on any Marine in the history of humanity. Seaman Second Class. This movie is the movie that just keeps on giving. Minor nitpick here. Among this movie's many atrocities towards actual military procedure. Again, military rank issue here. Sergeant Gary Busey. I don't give a fuck what his character's name is, but he's someone off screen calls him Sarge, which is highly inappropriate in the Marine Corps. That's that's an Army thing. There is no Sarges in the Marine Corps. You're a sergeant. Can I get through this movie without pausing it every goddamn 30 seconds, 1 minute? So now they're picking up the prisoner, and it turns out there's been a mistake. It's supposed to be a male, Seaman Tony, whatever. And it turns out it's a female. It's Tony with an I. Oh, my God. You can't believe the mistakes that people made. There's nothing else on the paperwork that, listed her gender. Like, that wouldn't have been on everything. There wouldn't have been a special message sent to the chasers to, it was like, hey, you're required to have a female escort, blah 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 blah. It's a joy of horrible error and circumstance, completely unbelievable and impractical for how actual military and Navy paperwork works. And this goes right into Sergeant Gary Busey tricking the young dumb seaman into signing the paperwork to turn her over. And the chief is absolutely powerless to stop this. Now they are forced to bring her with them, and thus starting the movie. But yes, this absolutely would never happen in any universe whatsoever. The chief would have been immediately on the phone to somebody like, hey, what the fuck? There's an incredibly bad mismanagement of paperwork here. You guys don't somehow miss the fact this is a female. We did not send any female escort. And now the Marines are forcing us to take her based on the junior guy of the group signing it, and the chief has no ability to exercise any kind of ability to stop this from happening. So wacky hijinks ensue. This movie is it's fantastic in a lot of ways. When I watched Operation Christmas, I hated it with my bones. This one, kind of the opposite way. It's so bad in terms of everything. It's just more funny than anything, and it's supposed to be a comedy. I'm enjoying it from a more meta comedy point here. And oh my God, I just realized a point of QMSA's ribbons here. He has a good conduct, so he has not been busted. Somehow he's an E2 getting out after presumably 4 years at least as an E2. He's not been busted, or he's illegally wearing a good conduct medal, one or the other. Either way, wow. Yeah, not that it's impossible to. I mean, obviously, people develop asthma in the service they didn't have before. Happened to a friend of mine. And a lot of people just lie about it when they come in. But as a typical rule, military, you're not allowed to be in the military with asthma. In fact, it's a kick out. It's a disqualifying entry condition. And once you have it, as my friend who had it and got kicked out, as I said, it's something that gets you kicked out. Now, of course, she could be lying. She just didn't want him smoking in the van on the way back. But the fact that Chief did not question this whatsoever and is kind of weird, like everything else about this movie. Single file with the prisoner walking in the rear. I'm sure that violates a hell of a lot of security protocol, amongst the other broken security protocols we've had leading up to this situation. So we finally get her backstory. She had a brother who was a wild child, drug problems. He dies. She's denied emergency leave from whatever command she's from. Definitely not inconceivable, though it'd be very dickish on the command's part, but definitely not inconceivable. And somehow between that, beating up an SP, and then, as she says, racked up charges as she was not in the right state of mind, she ends up with getting sentenced to 7 to 10 with no this kind of no leniency for the situation or circumstances. A bit much, but not out of the realm of possibility. And given this movie and everything else that's going on with it, this is probably a part I could forgive more than about any other. So we have this great seduction scene. QMSA, finds out his buddy stole his car, that he had scammed tons of money out of the Navy anyway. So I mean, he's a shitbag. His friend's a shitbag. No big deal. He ends up going out and getting drunk over the whole situation. Comes back, gets seduced, and makes love, and we have we earn our R rating with some boobies, other than the curse words. And of course, he's drunk. Once he finishes, he wakes up. She's gone. The whole thing here. I would I'm very shocked. There's no I can't be shocked in this movie, but they didn't set up watches with her. She's already been a flight. Not just a flight risk, but just everything she's done. Just none. Chief Rock here wasn't setting watches. It's a cavalcade of fortuitous circumstances for the plot. And then, of course, the question: why did it take her so long to make her escape to the point where he saw her leaving here early in the morning? Last time we saw him, they were fucking middle of the night. He's drunk. More than likely after he finished, he passed the fuck out. As it saw, she had tons of time to get the hell away, but we now are into. No, he has to see her leaving, and she gets in the car of a random passerby. One of the interesting conceits of this movie is they're not calling for, at this point, any help with the local authorities. That they've checked in, but they're just kind of like, oh, we got some mechanical problems. We're still bringing her in, which is just so highly out of the realm of, like, these guys would have just said, fuck this. We'll take what we're given. We just want this fucking problem solved. A bit out of the realm of realism here. We went through, the hotel with no guard, chasing her through. She did, incredibly, she's incredibly stupid. She called their attention when she was free and clear, and they were stuck on a fucking volcano. and now they're just still trying to handle it by themselves because that's the way this movie's going to work. Versus, we're just going to lock her down, hog tie her, wait for someone else to show up and take her and say like, this is we're done with this. But I can't. I definitely see covering your ass, but in this situation, like I think everyone here would have been past their point of like, wanting to deal with this bullshit. And the movie finishes with them helping her escape, and two of them go down south of the border. Chief's all joining and happy with them, and it's a great ending, except that I don't know if I feel for any of these people. They're all pretty bad people. But overall, this is a very, very forgotten movie, Navy movie. It's funny as shit for all the wrong reasons. Some of the actual stuff is supposed to be funny is funny, but this is really, really bad. But it's bad in so bad it's funny way. So I definitely recommend checking this out if you have never heard of this or watched it, which is probably most of you. Anyway, that's all the Salty Seaman has for now. Tune in next time, Military Movie Bullshit. We'll probably be starting a video blog on Generation Kill. I'm out. I love you, bitches. Peace.